To have a very interesting discussion if you're just joining us. I thought that since it's Monday, we'd talk about money, and it's the 20th of the month also, so typically not the time when anyone wants to talk about money, but we're going to do it this morning. We're going to be talking about managing your spending habits, and in the studio right now, I'm joined by Kilwake Wabuge, who is a financial wellness consultant. Welcome to the show. And two university students who also have an opinion, and hopefully we'll be talking money today. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us which school you go to.
Okay. My name is Tito Tibi. I'm at Strathmore University, graduating actually this coming Friday.
Oh wow, congratulations.
Yeah, I did a bachelor's degree in financial economics.
Oh wow, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. My name is Valerie Mumbo. We were in the same school, so we were in the same class, so okay. I'm also graduating this Friday.
Okay. So let's talk about managing your spending habits. Do you feel like you're in a position as you're graduating very soon to go out there, you know, take the world by the horns and manage your money well? Do you feel prepared for that?
Not fully or not completely.
Okay.
I think in terms of, like, say, options of saving, investing, and then also things to do with, like, options with banks, or financial institutions. And I'm sure also many of my friends are not very well, versed with that. What options do we have with regards to banks and just to increase our financial wellness and
well, thankfully we have a financial wellness consultant. So what areas do you see, especially amongst young people, where are we failing the most in managing our money?
Thanks for having me. I think the first challenge you have is that most of us think about spending before earning.
Oh, right. True.
So most young people look at it is that we have so many expectations and so many lifestyle issues that we want to look at without actually first of all appreciating how do I make the sufficient resource to meet those needs. And now based on that, now our spending habits get tilted based on what we perceive to be true and immediate to us.
Right.
Yeah, so like he says, there needs to be a lot of education, a lot of information and knowledge around money before someone actually comes into the workspace, and before someone actually gets a first shilling. By that point, then that person knows where that money goes.
Yes. Valerie, do you save?
Yes, I do. I try.
You try? I try. What does that mean, you try? How hard do you try?
Okay, I try to keep, I try to budget and probably stick to my budget, though that doesn't happen all the time. Then I save. When I was younger, my mom took out insurance from me, so later it matured, then I went back. It's with Liberty Life, so I now have, they have a mutual fund, so I joined that, and at least some money goes there, so I don't spend all the money that I have coming in.
You're better off than a lot of people your age. Let's just say that first of all. How about you, Tito?
I try to save also.
We all try. We just keep trying.
Well, I think what I try to achieve is a bit of financial independence from my mom. So whatever I have earned, whether it be from an internship or whatever I have, I try to say, okay, so the next time I'll be having a positive cash inflow will be then, so I need to kind of manage the money I have right now to fit the duration before the next cash inflow comes in.
And see, that's the thing, a lot of us feel like, well, what am I saving if I don't even have enough money just to get by, to get to the end of the month? What do you say to that person?
Again, I think just before I answer that, I'll go back to what she's actually touched on in terms of parents. I'm really pleased to hear what your parents have done, because very few parents are actually stepping back and asking, how do we guide our children in terms of matters money? A lot of us are looking at the moral issues and life skills issues, which are very, very important, but money is equally important. So I'm glad her parents have walked her into that early enough. But in terms of how people manage their money, we always have to understand the elements of discretionary income. And discretionary income is the net money that actually hits your account. Okay. Now, you need to have your lifestyle centered around this. Now, most of us will find that we have peer influencers around us.
Yes.
We have the lifestyles being projected to us, and we believe that is the in thing.
Especially in this day and age of social media. Just that pressure alone can drive you crazy.
So it's actually incumbent on you to be self-disciplined to the level that you actually ask yourself, am I acting my wage?
Okay.
Am I acting my income? And I've always been very key to tell people that it's important to chase your dream. It doesn't hurt for you to look for the big items and the fancy things in life, but don't break your back trying to look rich. Break your back getting rich.
Right.
Those are two different things. It's because I can't try and mold myself to try and look at someone like where someone else is doing, as opposed to actually going back and starting creating resources around myself that propel me towards that. Then have the patience of time.
How do you guys deal with that pressure, which I'm sure you face as soon as you log into Instagram or Snapchat, and people are living illusionary lives? You know, that's not even their real life half the time. Half of those things are borrowed, but there's still that pressure. So how do you deal with that?
Okay, I think there needs to be a balance. So, you know, logging into Instagram or Facebook and just seeing, you know, your friends went to Naivasha this past weekend.
Lots of money just spent.
And you know, and it looks all lovey-dovey, splashy and all that stuff, and you kind of want to have such a lifestyle. So I think it's just balancing out. So maybe like one Sunday afternoon, maybe or two in a month, you know, just going out and hanging out with your friends. And it doesn't have to be a very expensive joint or place. But yeah, just having that balance, because you still need to kind of grow socially. Especially at this age.
And you can't just ignore what's happening around you. How about yourself?
My friends and I usually try to find like alternative ways. Like you don't have to go out, you don't have to go to a place where it's too expensive, and you know, like in a couple of days you'll be struggling to get to work or get to wherever you want to do. So you just find alternatives, things that are fun and not too expensive, but once in a while you can reward yourself for whatever. Now for abstaining from spending too much money, like now you'll have saved enough to do like one big thing or something like that. So that should work.
So finding alternative plans.
Find alternative plans.
So Kiwaki, maybe you can talk about, give us a breakdown of the numbers a little bit. We always hear percentages of, you know, if you're making this much, you should save this much, you should tithe this much. So maybe you can break that down for us a little bit.
I think the only one that is definite is tithe.
Okay.
That one is provided. I always believe that numbers are important, but you need to cut your suit as per your clothes in terms of, am I able to fit myself in certain elements? Our lifestyles are different. Some things that will be important to Tito might not be important to me. So how do I apportion myself? My take is this: once you make your money, the biggest number that you need to set aside for is actually saving.
Okay.
That is the biggest side you need to set aside, because once you save, then whatever you're left with, you try and live within that means. And now the issues in terms of the peer influences, in terms of where you're going, then is fitted within that person. I'm not a person of actually giving definite numbers. I think at times it can be too cliche. It is important for someone to actually realize what is my lifestyle, what are my life goals, and how do I achieve them in the long term. Then I start structuring myself around that.
Like you're saying, live within your wage. It's very, very important. But our culture, like we're saying, very materialistic, and becoming even more so where, you know, it's not odd to see a certain celebrity in Kenya or Tanzania spending, you know, female celebrities spending hundreds of thousands of shillings on their hair alone, you know, and then you have young girls looking at this and saying, okay, so that is what it means to be successful. Or, you know, I think it's just, it puts us in a very tough position as women, because if somebody is spending 200,000 shillings on a weave every month, what message do you think that is passing along?
I don't think it's a sustainable thing to do. Like, some people can do it and some people can afford it, but not everyone. It shouldn't be the standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are different things, and you can look beautiful in different ways. You don't need the 200,000 weave to do that.
Yeah.
So I think we need people to be financially conscious and know that what they do now, they shouldn't be myopic with how they look at their spending and where they put their money. They should think long term. Okay, so I have a 200,000 weave. What else, or what benefit will it give me in the long term? What other ways can I grow this money and maybe buy it in a year, 2 years without suffering for having too much month at the end of the money?
So speaking of, you said let's look at this long term. So do you have long-term plans for your money? Are you thinking investments? Are you thinking, what is it that your plan is?
May I just
go ahead.
In addition to that, sometimes we Jamas are the ones who suffer for that.
Have you ever bought a killing weed?
Can I just finish that? You need to understand why she spent 200,000 on the weave.
Okay.
She wasn't spending. She was investing.
Right.
Because for her image, she's going to make money out of it. But the rest of us, what are you doing? You're running after her and trying to do it. No income stream coming out. But when she does it, you're talking about her.
True. So you're saying you guys face the pressure?
Sometimes, So your significant other would ask for some assistance in terms of maintaining upkeep. And that sometimes puts pressure, like in a relationship. But onto the question you asked, long-term goals. I think, what comes to mind first is like marriage, wedding specifically.
The wedding, not even the marriage, just the actual day.
So that's probably okay. Maybe moving out. So I need to set apart some money for moving out. Starting to live by myself, and then probably next significant thing is wedding, and then now from there, housing, trying to buy a house.
I'm already exhausted for you. I'm like, well, dang. That's a lot. It's a lot of pressure.
But it helps when you start thinking about it now. And also with some friends, just because we talk about some of these things with some of my friends, some of my male friends especially. And like recently, a friend of mine was telling me that they're working, so they want to buy a piece of land for the purpose of just saving up for their wedding.
Wow.
Which they anticipate maybe in the next 2 or 3 years to come by. So and then like nowadays, I think in our generation we don't like this thing of wedding committees and and that kind of thing. So that more and more is becoming like a key thing to kind of save up for, and probably the most immediate, because that's maybe for me within the next 5 years.
Hey, good luck. Kiwaki, I mean, he mentioned land, and I think we are a culture of just land, just buy land. At some point you have to buy land, like that's what we're raised up believing. But what other alternatives do we have in terms of investing and saving for our futures?
Land is important, and my thoughts are normally, if you're buying land, you must ask yourself, why are you buying the land? It's a good investment angle by virtue that it's a scarce resource. Let's start from there. So in terms of value appreciation, it's always been there. But I have a very cheeky uncle who at one point I decided to buy land. I said, okay, I'm going to buy 10 acres. And he asked me where, and I told him the location. So he asked me, are you buying 10-acre piece of land you want to utilize, or are you buying a graveyard? Because most of us buy without knowing why we are buying.
That's true.
Right? So land has become the cliche investment element. It's not bad, it's there. But there are so many angles that you can actually make money. For example, I know the stock exchange might be on a downward trend, but I like what Warren Buffett says about the stock market. If everyone is getting in, get out. If everyone is getting out, get in. because right now the stocks are at their best prices. I think you can get the lowest valued stocks as well. There's a bond market where very few people pay attention to, which actually also can give you some very good returns. Within the insurance industry and all these financial markets, you'll find where if your risk is low, then you can go into the equity funds, the money funds and stuff like that. A new vehicle that has come into the market, which I know 2 entities have actually launched, is actually the REITs market. And the REITs program product is basically those who want to invest in real estate but do not have sufficient money to actually do the big project. Then you buy a REIT, and then the REITs hold actually goes into the market, buys the big estates. I think Stanley, but the first ones who have run out with it, they're the ones who bought Greenspan Mall at the moment. So you make your returns out of that because you're giving experts to do it for you. We are experts at everything. So the problem we have is that all of us would like to believe we have the best knowledge, but at times sitting with a specialist, someone who is a professional within that field, to tell you what your directions and what your capacities are is better than, you know, picking bits and pieces of information here and then
based on just what you hear around, what your friends are doing.
But also just to touch on Tito, your life was really beautiful. I love when I hear a young man say marriage.
Guys.
You know, because I was told your biggest career choice is actually who you marry.
Wow.
That's your biggest career choice. Because if you get the right person, then they're able to propel you to the right direction. You're able to make prudent decisions. But don't recruit the best player and, like Obama says, not allow her to play. You need to bring her on board so that she helps you make your decision. So good goals, but I also want you to project 20, 30 years from now. Where are you going to be? What are you going to do? Then you don't need to have that big goal sitting on your shoulder. Break it down like you've done. Marriage is a bigger element. Housing is the next element. A car is the next element. Maybe things like that. So you organically grow, but it's within measured capacities. Now, when you get to that goal, please remember to do one thing. Celebrate. Every goal you get, celebrate.
Every milestone. Kind of propels you forward. Valerie, you said earlier that you try to budget. How do you try? Do you have an app? I mean, how do you do you have a Excel spreadsheet? Do you just write things down? Do you keep track of your spending?
I keep track of my spending, and I remember, like, when I was in 2nd year, I wanted my parents to give me money for the month and to stop giving me money daily, so I had to give them a budget. So I think that's how it started. I gave them a budget, then they gave me money. So I try stick within it. Then I save, like, for other things I want to do, or if I can decide that I won't spend as much this month because I know next month there's something I really, really want to do that will require a lot of money. So but there are apps, and you know, it's very simple to budget. All you need to do is write how much money, what you do, how much money you're currently using on it, and think about if that's the amount of money you really need to use on that thing. Then you can now write your goal, like the ideal situation, and how you can balance, like, move money from one place to another, and so
spread it around.
Spread it around.
For me, I have an issue, and I don't know if anyone else watching has this issue, but mobile money is an issue. Like, the fact that mobile banking exists is probably not the best for my life. Because I know wherever I am, anytime, I can just, log into my bank online, send some M-Pesa here and there. And then, because of the fact it's, mobile money, it's virtual, that I don't actually see myself counting the notes. I feel like I'm not spending. How do we deal with that?
Just one word: discipline. Because we are free men in this country. We have choices to do whatever we want, but what keeps us on the straight and narrow is our own perception of what is good and wrong. So we stick to that. Finance is the same. Yes, I have access to my money, but do I need it at this point in time? Then look at it this way: every time you spend money, you are actually robbing from yourself. I'm not saying that it is bad to buy what you need to buy. I prefer people looking at it this way: that you have what you call the lifestyle expenses that you must take care of. you need to enjoy life, because I learned a new word the other way. This is what the young people call YOLO.
Yeah.
You only
live once.
Yeah.
But I got introduced to another one the other day called Lolwe. Apparently it's Luo for the lake. But apparently it means live once, live well.
Ah, okay.
But now how do you live well? It's by having sufficient resources to carry you through life, to enjoy the basics of life. Okay. So yes, I have the mobile app, but I'm picking this money. Who am I sending this money to? Because you have to remember one thing, that selfishness is not necessarily a bad word. It's about self. So any money that I can retain, I can invest later. So I'm not saying spending is bad, but can you spend to the extent that it allows you room to retain as much as you can to invest? Because the mindset of a rich man is this, is that allow me to say, the mindset of a poor man is this, is that the poor man buys stuff. So yes, I'm going to walk around the road, okay, and with all due respect to everyone, I'll find a new pair of shoes. I can see a pair of shoes and say, I need to buy. But I've asked myself, do I really need that pair of shoes? Okay. I'll find a jacket I want to buy, I'll buy it. Do I really need it? That is how the poor man thinks. We buy stuff. The rich men buy assets.
Oof. Yeah. Not things
so
that
for
are
them, it's about, it's not even just appreciation, Joey. It's about enhancing my cash flows. Am I buying something that's going to put money in my pocket? And if I step aside from my job today, do I have something that continues paying me? And now those are the long-term goals I'm talking about. Is in terms of actually within this time space, putting your money in places where in the next 5 years, I don't need to be there for it to pay me.
Let's just hold that thought right there and go over to Willis Raburu, who has what people are saying online, this conversation going on Twitter and the like. So Willis, what's happening?
All right, the hashtag to use is Power Breakfast on Twitter, and just to sample a few of them, we have Miss AVI or Atlativa_ENT says she spends her money on school fees, entertainment, mom and dad, helping others, financial needs, after God's 10%. Then she says that's about it. Then we also have a Douglas Matiko at Doug Matiko saying it is based on a vast priority for the day. Money to be spent can be saved or blend to fit the bill. I guess our expert will help us kind of put that in perspective as well. All right, we look at our SMS as well on 22422. There's somebody from California Ward, Mutisa Muli says, where do we draw the lines between inducing demands to grow our ever-struggling economies and managing spending habits regardless? I guess that's a question that we'll need to ask the experts. So I'll ask it again. Where do we draw the line between increasing demands to grow our ever-struggling economies and managing spending habits regardless? That is Mutisa Muli watching from California Ward. Keep talking to us. The hashtag to use is Power Breakfast, and the SMS line is 22422.
That's an interesting question, that last one, because I'm not really thinking about growing the economy when I'm trying to manage my spending habits. So what would you say to that?
Well, who is the economy? We are the economy.
Sure.
We are the ones who create the wealth within the establishment. So yes, there's an element of the government needs to. But look at industry.
To numbers.
We are the ones who create industry. We are the ones who create demand. My only worry right now is that I think based on what he's talking about is that there is a lot of consumerism going on and very little productivity happening within the economy. Right? So that there needs to be a focus towards creating resources within the economy, and with that then you create opportunities for the people coming out of university to actually get into those opportunities. So yes, like I say, if you don't spend, you save. If you save, you invest. If you invest, you create wealth. So it ties. It's actually
it's all linked together. What do you feel like you need to improve the most about how you spend your money or your saving habits? What if you were to work on one thing, what would that be?
I think I should probably actually have a savings account, because as you said, the thing with mobile banking and all this, I struggle because you've set aside this amount and you said I'm going to save this, but then a few weeks later say there's a birthday dinner for a friend of yours and you need some a K or 2K, and then you kind of just remove that a little, and then you say next month I'll be better, I'll do better. Yeah. So it's maybe like reducing my accessibility to my savings, which I'm afraid
some limits on there.
Yeah, which I'm afraid to commit to, but I guess in the long run it would be better for me.
Well, at least you know that. That's your issue. What do you think about what he has to say about accessing his savings?
One is it hold your money in non-liquid assets. Okay, and what we talk about non-liquid asset is how easily is it to convert to cash. Right. Now that one, if there is a pain towards accessing that resource, then you kind of back out a little. I think the mobile apps are good, but they've reduced the queues in the bank. At times the queues in the bank used to help. Because
you're like, I don't even want to deal with that.
50 guys ahead of me.
It's okay.
But now I'm here and I get the money. So chances are that the best place to actually go is towards non-liquid assets. Buying stocks, buying bonds, buying land, like we've said, but buying land with purpose is not bad. But as long as you have it liquid, just like liquid as a substance is, it will flow. Right? So find prudent avenues in terms of where to put your money. The second is actually what she talked about in terms of the budget. It's one thing to do the budget. It's another thing to follow. That's true. So discipline yourself around that. In terms of if I do a budget, that's how I run with it. My wife introduced me to a very interesting approach called the envelope budgeting.
Okay.
Where you do is that you pick your money. It's not the safest, but you pick your money, put it in the house, and get envelopes, and portion all the needs that you have. Then you put money in that envelope. Okay? Now, if you want to spend on that item, you go to that envelope. Okay? If that envelope is empty, you don't spend on that thing again.
If your entertainment envelope is empty, stay indoors.
And there is no movement of money between the envelopes. So those are the simpler ways of actually doing it. But if you have a strong mind and good discipline, then having a document that you actually take against as you go along is good. Then always have a review at the end of the month, because you're doing monthly budgets, isn't it? So have a review at the end of the month. Did I stick to my budget? What were the variations? Was it too ambitious? Was it too conservative? Thank you for that. And do I make adjustments to it? Right? Because at the end of the day, you might need to make the budget based on your lifestyle. But be keen. I insist that saving is your route to financial freedom.
Valerie, do you think that your generation has the discipline required to be better at saving and managing money?
I think so. I've met a couple of people who've wowed me. I worked with an organization called Valiraha that used to teach high schoolers. Then I met a certain high schooler who'd saved more. Like, she started saving. She bought herself a bike because her parents introduced it to her early. So they said, you want a bike, we'll meet you here. So I think it should be like we should cultivate it in kids, because they're more malleable, they take things more, and if it grows with them, they'll be good. But I think it is, because I've people who have good chamas that they work with, they have financial goals. But like I also really need to work to sticking to my budget, because I really do. But I think it's possible. It's not impossible. And what we need to do. What did I want to say? I think that just planning yourself and not comparing yourself to another person. We had this in school. We were taught this thing called keeping up with the Jonases. So you look at what your neighbor has, then you're like, I also need that, even if you don't need it. Like your neighbor has bought a boat, you live in a forest, you want a boat. Like it doesn't work like that. So I think that's something they could work on, like not compare and thinking long term.
So like Tito.
Like
focus. Marriage. Wedding day, marriage.
I got to be invited to that.
She's planning for this early. It's going to be a good one. Any last words from you?
I guess saving is important to all of us. And saving for that rainy day. I think saving for that rainy day. You don't want to kind of keep on also borrowing from your friends, and then
that's a whole other topic for another day.
Yeah, kind of being nagging on a nuisance to them. So yeah, saving is important.
Yeah. Kilwaka, I know we didn't touch too much on the borrowing issue, but do you have any thoughts on that?
On borrowing?
On borrowing, yeah, because they say like don't lend out money that you expect to get back, because people just disappear with the
Borrowing needs to be a logical decision. You need to think through why you're borrowing. And I always say this, that if you're borrowing for consumption, then you've lost the plot. Because then that means basically you're living out beyond your means. Borrowing needs to be an accelerator to investment and creation of value. So if you're taking out any money, either from friends, either from an institution, that money needs to regenerate itself. Because if I'm picking money from someone, then how does it pay it back? Because that money needs to pay itself back. If I pick this money and consume it, then I have to look for somewhere else to get that money to pay back. Chances are I'm going to dig a hole to fill.
And the cycle just keeps
going. And again, we go to the same position, is that right now even borrowing is on phone. I don't get money as it is. But I always insist is that let the borrowing be purposeful. You need to know where that money is going, how it's going to repay itself back. The most critical is where are you borrowing from. Friends are good. In fact, we always advise if your relationships are strong, friends and family are the cheapest source of credit, right? But it can be very expensive on the relational front. So institutionalizing and going to a financial institution that is catered for that need is good, but that also needs to be done within the controlled side, because there are some places where we'll go and the cost of credit is so high that by the time I'm repaying back, then the stress levels on my end are higher. So debt is like a rubber band. You get the longer you stretch it out, the thinner it gets. So at times long-term debt might look like expensive, but if I'm borrowing it for the right reasons and I take it for the long term, it's less stressful to myself. But if I have too many debts all over the place, then the clear position is that I need to consolidate them, right? So what do is I get one guy who can give me sufficient resource to pay these guys off, and I only have one guy I'm dealing with, and maybe the terms within which I've borrowed from him are more friendlier than what I've borrowed, because I saw when I was walking down the street and I had to change because I all had 10,000 bob or something.